Rushmina, you can start.
Okay. Hello everyone. Today I'm taking a session on Blazor. Blazor might be Blazor might be new to some of you, but people who work with .NET could have heard of it. Anyways, let's start the session. What is Blazor? Blazor is a web framework from Microsoft that allows us to build interactive web applications using the C# programming language. So basically, Blazor is a free and open source web framework based on HTML, CSS, and C Sharp that helps us to build web applications faster. And we can run from both client side and server side. The name Blazor itself is a combination of two names, that is browser plus Razor. By combining these browser plus Razor, the name Blazor signifies the web development framework that brings the power of C Sharp and .NET. Uh, Blazor uses C Sharp, HTML, and CSS to create web-based UI components. Also, Blazor is a component-based framework. That means applications are created by assembling reusable components. So these reusable components can be combined to build more complex UIs. Also, Blazor supports two hosting models, server-side and WebAssembly. I will explain later. Then, why Blazor? Why we use Blazor? Choosing Blazor for web development can be influenced by several factors. If imagine coding both client side and server side using C sharp. That means if a developer is familiar with C sharp, they can utilize that talent in C sharp for both client side and server side. Coming to the points, the first one, code reusability. I already mentioned that Blazor offers component based design. This component based design ensures the code reusability. Hence, it promotes the modular development approach. And the next one is improved performance. Uh, the improved performance can be uh, achieved by two factors. The first factor is client-side rendering, and the other one is incremental loading. Client-side rendering means the Blazor WebAssembly allows the execution of C sharp code directly in the browser, and the incremental rendering means only the necessary parts are fetched whenever they needed. This reduces the initial load time and hence improves the performance. And the another factor is Blazor provides rich user experience. And the next one is simplified code base. Simplified code base means since the developers can use C sharp in both client side and server side, so it eliminates the need of switch between different languages. They don't need to be switched between different languages, so it reduces the development time. Since we are using the reusable component, uh, so the business logic can be shared between the client side and the server side, so it reduces the duplication of codes. And the next point is client side web development. Client side web development means the web applications are created in C sharp, but instead of JavaScript, but which can be advantageous to developers who are more familiar with C sharp. So, in summary, these are the points that provides an overview of reasons behind choosing Blazor. I already mentioned there are two types of Blazor hosting models. First one is Blazor server, and the second one is Blazor WebAssembly. Uh, Talking about the first one, Blazor server, as the name suggests, the Blazor server, this code execute, Blazor server execute the entire application on the server side. This application logic runs on the server and then sends a UI updates to the client side using the Signal R connection. The Signal connection means real-time communication library in the .NET ecosystem developed by Microsoft. It enables bidirectional communication between the server and client. Then uh, over this signaler connection, the client browser communicate with the server to submit the request. So basically, signaler connection is used to send the UI changes from the server to the client. Uh, uh, on the server, the Blazor server application supports all the applications, logic, and the state management. Then, but one um, Okay. Also, the Blazor server is offline usage is limited for Blazor server hosting models. Then it is suitable for real-time applications with server-side processing, and it offers a familiar server-side development experience. And the next, it is the architecture for Blazor server hosting model, and the other one is Blazor WebAssembly. Blazor WebAssembly, talking about the Blazor WebAssembly, it enables the execution of C Sharp code directly in the browser. So these applications are more secure than the Blazor server applications. Uh, Also, it can run on any device which supports modern browsers like desktops, mobiles, and IoT devices. So this can reduce the development cost. After the program is downloaded from the server, there is no dependency on the .NET server side. Therefore, the app stays functioning even if the server goes down. That is, it can work offline. Uh, Note that in some old browsers, Blazor WebAssembly may not support. Um, in simple words, I can say that Blazor server and difference between the Blazor server and the Blazor WebAssembly is that Blazor server is like a remote control car. That is, the server controls the UI in the browser, but the Blazor WebAssembly is like a self-driving car. Self-driving car. That is, UI runs independently on the browser. Also, it can communicate with the server whenever want. This is the basic difference between the Blazor server and the WebAssembly. In Blazor server, the execution of code is on the server, but in Blazor WebAssembly, the code execution is in the browser itself. And the in the case of real-time communication, the real-time communication is through signaler connection. I mentioned it already. Uh, but in Blazor WebAssembly, it is limited real-time communication. And talking about the initial load time, in Blazor server it is faster, but in Blazor WebAssembly it's slightly slower compared to the Blazor server. Also, I mentioned that offline usage is limited in Blazor server, but Blazor WebAssembly works perfect in offline mode. And the compatibility to browsers, Blazor server is widely compatible with various browsers, but Blazor WebAssembly is only compatible with modern browsers. In some old browsers, it may not be supported. Also, in Blazor server handles rendering and logic. Blazor WebAssembly, in the case of Blazor WebAssembly, client browser handles rendering and logic. In the case of debugging, server side code can be debugged directly, but in WebAssembly, the debugging may be complex. So these are the differences between the two hosting models of Blazor, Blazor Server and WebAssembly. Then folder structure. Uh, this is a picture showing that the basic folder structure of Blazor Server and Blazor WebAssembly. Uh, Talking about each files or folders, for the first one is dependencies. This manages all the external libraries, that is Nugget packages and all. Um in a Blazor server or Blazor WebAssembly application, inside the dependencies folder, there are frameworks, packages to run effectively, to run the applications effectively. So then talking about the root folder means the root page in the Blazor applications. That means it is commonly used to store the static assets such as images folders, CSS folder, JavaScript folder, Bootstrap, etc. And the next one is data folder, which is not present in the Blazor WebAssembly folder structure. Folder means it it contains some code files related to the services. That's a data folder. Then pages folder. Pages folder contains individual Razor components. Razor components are means it contains Razor pages. Razor pages are the main build blocks of Blazor project. Razor page means is a combination of C Sharp and HTML. Typically, Razor file have .razor file extension. So all the Razor files are contains in the pages folder. The next one is shared folder. As the name implies, it contains all the shared components. The next one is imports.razor file. This file contains the common namespaces and all. So we don't need have to include the common namespaces in every razor component. We can call it in this common file. The next one is app.razor. App.razor, it is the root component of a Blazor applications, that it uses the built-in router components and set up a client-side routing. The router uses the found property to display the content, and if a match is found, it shows the match. The next one is app settings.json. It is this app settings.json file is not present in the WebAssembly. This file is used to store the configuration settings such as connection strings, that database connections, etc. The next file is program.cs. Program.cs means this file contains the main methods, which are the entry points of both Blazor server and Blazor WebAssembly projects. We call services in this file. The last file is startup.cs file. As the name suggests, it contains all the application startup logics. That's all about the folder structure. Next, building a simple Blazor app client side. I'm showing a simple example. An example using Blazor WebAssembly hosting model. For that, I am opening Visual Studio. Here I'm using Visual Studio just because that Visual Studio is the most popular and powerful IDE for Blazor projects. We can also use VS Code, .NET Core, CLI for building Blazor applications. Okay. Then I'm clicking the new project, create a new project option. Here we can see many templates, and in this search templates option, I'm searching Blazor. Uh, we can see many templates. There are Blazor server app, Blazor WebAssembly standalone app, Blazor web app, Blazor server app empty and Blazor WebAssembly app empty. Here I am choosing Blazor WebAssembly app empty because it includes only essential contents. It's eliminating unwanted predefined files. So I am selecting Blazor WebAssembly app empty and clicking next. Okay, I am naming it as Blazor WebAssembly example or something. Okay, you can change the location from here. You can choose the location whatever you want. Okay, here I am keeping the solution name as the project name. Then I'm clicking next. In the framework option, I'm selecting .NET 7.0 standard term support, and I'm also selecting configure for HTTPS. This means this option configures the project to the secure HTTP instead of regular HTTP. Means the data transmission between the client and server protects sensitive data and the data is encrypted. Then I am creating the project. Okay, so the project is loaded. Let me close this time. I already explained the folder structure for a Blazor WebAssembly project. So as I mentioned earlier, there are dependencies. In this folder, we can see the packages. They all installed packages are shown in this folder. There are frameworks, analyzers options, and in the root folder, there is a CSS folder and an index.html page. We can add images, CSS, custom JS in this root folder. And okay, okay, there is we can add models. It's already 1 minute. It is already a project I created. Let me start from the scratch. Demo. Okay, I created it from start. Okay, there is after root, there is a pages folder. In this pages folder, we can create razor files, and on expanding it, we can see app.razor file, um, which is the root for the Blazor WebAssembly application, and there is a program.cs file which we can call services, and there is imports file. We can import uh, necessary namespaces. And before start coding, I'm running this project. After running, we will get the following page that shows hello world. Let me take this code index.razor. This is the page, index page. And before start explaining, I want to explain about routing. What is routing? See at page and a slash within the double quotes. It it refers to page routing. This means this particular page is the root page, or we can say this is the initial page which will get loaded when we run the project. To explain in detail, I am creating another razor page. So add a razor component and name it as like user or something, and another razor page is created. And I'm doing the routing for this user.razor page. For that, I'm typing at the right page. Then within double quotes, I'm typing user. So this means the user slash user is the URL of this particular page. That is after base URL slash user will be there. That is a URL of this user.razor page. So if I run this again, and after base URL I am giving user. Okay, let me h3. Hey, okay, the hey text is displayed here. So after the base URL, we typed slash user. This is the URL of the razor page of user.razor. So also we can give as many routings we want. Now I am giving another name slash user one. Now restart the application. Okay, I'm giving user one. Sorry, user. See, so like this we can see as many routings we want. As I mentioned, this is the index page or this is the default page. I am setting this user.razor as the default page. Let's see what happens. Let's restart again. One minute. Okay. Okay. Okay, now we set the Razor page as the default page. Then I am creating another page. I'm creating a folder named models. In the models folder, I am adding a class. Basically, models are for storing data. So I'm naming it as user model. In the user model, I am giving um, declaring okay. In this class, I declare all these variables such as name, email, and password. Basically, I'm showing a form with validations and and the redirection of this form. So for that, for creating a form, I am first I'm creating a model. In these models, I declare all these. Then after that, in this user.razor page, I'm removing this and I'm creating a form using HTML CSS. So first I'm creating a div with class form container. Okay, inside that I'm adding a title. No details here. And then I mentioned that in the Razor page, the Razor page is a combination of HTML and C sharp code. So we do HTML part in the before the code section, and the inside the code section we will do the C sharp part. So inside the code section, I am declare a variable. So, okay, before that, I want to import the folder I created, model. I want to import the models folder I created earlier. So for importing, I'm using at the rate using then our application's name Blazor session demo dot models. Okay, then user then So here I am. I initialized the user data variable with a new instance of the user model class to hold the user's input data. So after that, usually in HTML, we use form tag to create forms. But in Blazor, I am using edit form component. It is an inbuilt Blazor component for creating forms and managing it. So I am using before using edit form, I need to import some namespaces. So I am using at the rise. I am importing another namespace to at the rate using system dot data annotations and so I imported all these. Then again back to this user eraser page. As I mentioned earlier, I am using edit form component instead of form tag in HTML. So I am using edit form. First, let me complete the tag and I will explain the functionalities. Edit form. To data. Okay. Now I using the edit form. Okay, edit form. Okay, inside the edit form, we can see model equal to user data. That is, it is basically model binding. It is one of the properties of edit form component, which takes a C# class instance as input. So it defines the properties that corresponding to the form field, like whenever we give like name, email, passwords, etc. And this on valid submit on invalid. Okay, on valid submit method on valid submit it's used to specify an event handler that called when the form submission is successful. Whenever the form is successfully submitted, this method is called. Okay, I will then I am creating another div. Then inside that div, I am giving a label tag inside this. Inside it, I am giving it for name. Then after that, name. Just like this, I am creating another 2 days. Here I am giving email as input, label. Email. Then this label is for password. Okay. Um, Usually in HTML, we will use input tag, but instead of it, here we are using input text. Input text. It is a built-in component that is used to create single-line text input fields. Uh, its main advantage is that it supports two-way data binding. I will show you how the data binding is done. And I am giving an ID for referencing or styling, giving as name. Then I am giving for the data binding, I am using the attribute bind value and bind value equal to so here data binding is done by using the attribute at bind value directive. This means that the changes made in the input field are automatically reflected in the property. So it binds the input value to the name. The binds the input value to the name property of the user data class object. Um, if any text is entered in this entered by the user will be stored in the name property. Okay. Like input text, there are also input text area, input password attributes. So here I am only using input text attribute, and like this, I am using here also. I am giving ID as email, and here I am email, and here so okay.
Rushmina, sorry for the interruption.
Okay.
How much time you needed? I think we already passed 5 o'clock.
Just 5 or 10 minutes. That's what I need.
Okay, okay.
Okay. Okay. Then after we need to we need a submit button. For that, I am creating another div, and inside the div, I am creating a button. Okay. 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 Inside this method, I want to redirect to this page to another page. So I am for the redirection for the navigation. I am importing another namespace and injecting navigation navigation manager. Name it as nav. Oh, nav. Okay. Then back to this page. I am just okay. Okay. Before that, I am creating another razor page, which is called logout dot logo.razor, and the routing for this page is given as authorized slash logout. Okay. Okay, sorry, I forgot this. Okay. Nav dot navigate to. So I am here. Uh, if we want to navigate to the logout page, I am giving the URL of the logout page we created earlier. Logout. So I So we created a form using the edit from component, and we called handle valid submit method on submitting the form, and we use navigation property for navigating from this user razor page to another user page namingly logout named as logout. Then in the logout page, uh, we can just give this is I'm just giving some text. This is the logout page, and I am here. I am also creating a button, and in the button I am using the on click property. And in on click property, sorry, I'm calling one method like redirect to home page. So I'm here. I'm calling define defining method redirect to home page. Okay. Then I am defining the navigation. I'm using navigate to. We need to navigate to the index page when the user clicks the logo logo button. And here I am giving logo text. Okay. Okay. Here also I am initializing the sorry, the model name is user models, not void. And user model and defining as to user model. Okay. So I'm running the project again. After cleaning, I'm building the solution. Okay. Here I am not doing the CSS, just showing a simple example. So here I'm entering name, and then email, then password, Then after submitting, it redirected to the logout page, and in the logout page, when we click the logout, it will again redirect to the default home page. So, so I showed the data binding and the redirection navigation of from one Razor page to another Razor page. Okay. So I hope the example I shown was clear to you. That's about the example. Then uh, the conclusion part. I described about the how Blazor, why to use Blazor, what is Blazor, what are the different hosting models, the folder structures, and the differences between Blazor server and WebAssembly. I hope it's clear to all. Okay, and thank you for your valuable time. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Thank you, Rushmina. I think it's a long section. I think
Okay,
we don't have any questions.
okay,
Thank you.
okay. Thank you all.